Hello, everyone. Welcome to Aspire TV Political Updates. My name is Clinton Offram. This morning, we'll be looking at the moves made by federal government to regulate social media. Now, the federal government have reinstated the move to regulate social media. According to the Minister of Information, Alhaji La Mohammed, the The federal government has no plans of shutting down social media, but must regulate it to prevent the spread of hate speech. These and many more we shall discuss after a quick break. Don't go nowhere.
Do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Turn on the notification button to get notified on our videos. Thank you.
All right, welcome back. The Nigerian government insistence to rein in the danger of fake news is back at the front burner of national debate in Africa's most populous nation, with social media blamed for the rise in misinformation during the EndSARS protests against police brutality. The EndSARS campaign, which resurfaced on Twitter in October. This and many more shall be discussing today. Joining me is Barrister Chuks Ihekwaba. Welcome, Barrister Chuks.
Thank you very much, Matt. And thank you for inviting me.
All right. The federal government, according to the Minister, La Mohammed, who disclosed on Saturday while visiting the offices of the Nation and TVC, which were burned by hoodlums during the curfew, necessitated by unrest that followed the hijacked EndSARS protests in Lagos. According to the minister, and I quote, "If you go to China, you cannot get Google, Facebook, or Instagram, but you can only use your email because they have sure regulated all this." Now, back to you, Barrister Chuks. Do you really think that social media should be regulated?
In the right sense of it, everything that has to do with right to use can also give birth to abuse of the use of such rights, in the right sense of it. But first of all, we must know that all the activities that happen on social media are anchored on the constitutional and fundamental right of freedom of expression and right to information. If you take a look at the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, from section 36 to section 40, you see all these rights enumerated there. And one of such rights is right to freedom of information and expression. The activities happening on social media, by no stretch, have not in any way warranted the federal government to be so drastic or to be so anxious and conscious to call the activities or social media its basic problem and challenge in this present time. The call or the move to regulate social media did not start this time. It started all the way from 2015, when we have the frivolous petitions bill, which proposed a $10 fine or also jail term for anybody who breaches that law if passed. We also have the protection from internet falsehood and manipulation bill, which also made far-reaching provisions on the do's and don'ts and punishment that follows, and also intends to establish the National Commission for the Prohibition of hate speech, bill of hate speech. These laws and institutions intended to be established and passed by the federal government are all geared towards gagging the social media, are all geared towards unconstitutionally and illegally limiting the freedom of expression, the right to freedom of information of the citizens of Nigeria. However, there are laws that are already extant and in existence that have provided for the regulation of speeches that are not favorable to any person or persons, whether government, individual, or corporate associations. We have, in the criminal law, we have the law of sedition. The law is sedition.
Now, before you go to that, we all know that social media most times or sometimes, as the case might be, are being paraded with seditious statements. Before you just mentioned it, coming from people with different motives. Sometimes they tend to criticize for their own selfish interest. Sometimes it's pure political. So don't you think this is the reason why the federal government wants it to be regulated?
The federal government, such statements or publications can only be declared to be seditious by the court of law. It is not within the powers of the federal government or the ministers to determine what is seditious, because a law established those crimes and offenses and call them seditious or seditious offenses. And it's only a court of law that can say this article or publication amount to sedition. This article or publication amounts to sedition. So it cannot be by mere imagination of the government or mere imagination of a minister or mere imagination of people in power or government officers who in their inner hearts are only affected or being afraid of the exposition of the ills in the administration.
Are you in one way or the other saying that it's only the court that has the right to punish or dictate those who have abused social media? Or is there any judicial commission that has been set aside to look into that?
It is only a court of law that can pronounce punishment on any law that is breached by any citizen. Any panel of inquiry or decision panel of inquiry does not spell out punishment. It's just a white paper investigation body like the judicial panel of inquiry that are set up across the country. Those panels of inquiry are only what we call a decision panels of inquiry. They bring out white paper recommending to the government what steps to take to punish offenders. So it is the court of law that can pronounce such law that having been breached, and it's also the court of law that can punish any person who breached such law, not the panel of inquiry and not the minister himself or his ministry. Rather, once such laws are made or regulations are made, it is the court that will interpret and say this publication amounts to seditious publication, this publication amounts to hate speech if there is any such law, this publication amounts to this and that, and therefore having breached it, that you are to be punished this way or the other. It's the duty of the court of law to punish anybody.
Okay.
Yes.
But Chooks, as a social media commentator and also a legal practitioner who have been involved in politics, the use of social media tend to try to make the government to render accountability to the people. Most times it's being used as a tool to criticize the government policies where necessary. Don't you think this is the reason why the federal government are afraid?
That is what we are saying. Their fear is that the citizens have woken up. This generation have woken up to the benefits and advantages of using internet to spread information, to do investigation, to make inquiries. And if a government that is, conscious of rule of law, unlike the Nigerian government, because the Nigerian government fear is that they are not obedient to rule of law. It is a government that does not obey court orders. It is a government that does not obey rules of engagement. It's a government that does not have respect and right and for the rights of its citizens. So the government is afraid of the citizens using all these social platforms to expose these their illegalities. So their intention to regulate the social media is not actually for things that have worked that is against them by the citizen, but because they don't want the citizen to be exposing the ills in this government. They don't want the citizen to be exposing their mismanagement, their unconstitutional acts, their disrespect for rule of law, their disrespect for the rights and rights of the citizen, the freedom of the citizens. Any reasonable government that is fair will accept criticism and make corrections. But Nigerian government does not accept criticism. Rather, they see criticism as a crime. They see constructive criticism as a crime. They see relevant information provided on the social media by citizens against the acts and illegalities of the government as a crime. That is why they are bent on regulating the social media. That is the position.
All right, we'll take a quick commercial break, and when we return, the program continues. Stay tuned.
Do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Turn on the notification button to get notified on our videos. Thank you.
Are you there? Clinton, I'm not hearing you. I can't hear you, and there is no connection anymore. However, what we're saying or discussing is the intention of the federal government or the move to regulate social media. And I'm saying that their intention is not actually geared or bet on the fact that the citizens misuse the social media, but because the government is afraid and has always been afraid of the citizens using the social media to expose the ills going on in the government, their misadministration of the country, their love for unconstitutionality, their disobedience to rule of law, abuse of human rights, and the dignity of human persons of Nigerian citizens. It cuts across all strata of Nigerian government, call it the security outfits, government offices, and the rest of them. The EndSARS protest was because of a long period, decades of brutality of police against the citizens, torture, killings, wanton killings, extrajudicial killings of Nigerian citizens, extortions, intimidations, abuse of their rights. And these were exposed on the social media by Nigerian citizens. Even the worst of it all, be the October 20th, 2020 Lekki Tollgate massacre, where the Nigerian army unconstitutionally and extrajudicially killed Nigerian citizens protesting peacefully and kept on denying that nobody was killed, kept on denying that no corpse was recovered. The person, there is discrepancies as to the evidence at the Lagos State panel of inquiry on who gave the order. The army is saying one on the other breath. The Lagos State government is saying another on the other breath. And these are bunch of lies that the government wants to regulate the social media from exposing these ills in their government, their illegality, their love for disobedience to court orders and rule of law, the rights and dignity of Nigerian citizens. That is just the fear. That is just the fear of the exposition of this, or exposing these illegal acts by the federal government, the state governments, and all arms of government and government agencies is what gave birth to this intention to regulate the social media. Yes, China does not have Facebook, does not have Twitter and this, and they don't use it because they have their own indigenous social media developed platforms by their citizens. In Nigeria, we don't have any because we don't have all in need. The government have not made Nigeria an enabling environment for Nigerian technological experts that can develop those things to do such. Even the ones that can do it are being killed, arrested, molested, and intimidated by security agencies, army, police, civil defense, SARS, calling them armed robbers, calling them fraudsters just because they carry red hair. So Nigeria cannot be talking about China. China provides everything for its citizens. China provides everything economically, socially, and otherwise, security-wise, economic-wise, education-wise. China provides this for their citizens. And their technology is there for them. Nigeria cannot, have not, and will never, and we don't intend to do this for us. So the position remains that the call by the Nigerian government to regulate the social media is done or is with malice against the citizens. Malice against the citizens to prevent them from exposing the ills of the government. About that, the social media or the internet is now the global village. They know that anything you post there that is true and is against the government gets to everywhere in the world. Take, for example, the video uploaded on Instagram by DJ Switch, who is now on the run as a refugee or an Muslim in Canada. That video, was it not true? The video was 100% true, showing when the military was shooting at innocent protesters, shooting at them with live bullets, killing them. These are truthful facts that any truthful person cannot contradict. DJ Sweet is now on the run because she knows that Nigerian government cannot tolerate, even as they claim to be a democratic government, cannot tolerate such exercise of our rights to freedom of information, expression, and expression. These are things that the federal government is afraid of. Look at the promoters of the EndSARS protest, peaceful protest, without putting them on notice. Without putting them on notice, the government got an expert order with the federal central bank to freeze their accounts without putting them on notice, without notice, to freeze the account of promoters of EndSARS protests. These are the ills. These are the ills the government does not want the social media to expose. Look at the issue of Oromile, who was arrested in Lagos for promoting EndSARS, detained for 11 days and granted bail for exercising his right of peaceful protest. These are the ills the government don't want the social media to expose. And many others that have been handpicking. Look at the many souls that we are lost. Look at the case of Jimo Ibrahim, that was just a mere stand-up by watching how the protest was going, and the Nigerian security officers recklessly killed him. These are the ills the government does not want social media to expose. Presently, or not too long ago, the United Arab Emirates published names of Nigerians that have been convicted in UAE for sponsoring Boko Haram, sending money to Nigeria for Boko Haram. Up till now, the Central Bank of Nigeria and Nigerian government have not come out to publish to Nigerians the accounts and names from who those monies were sent and to who those monies were sent to Nigeria. This is what the government don't want the social media to expose. Look at how the Boko Haram terrorists are killing Nigerians and Nigerian army, and the government is busy recruiting them, claiming to be rehabilitating them as repentant Boko Haram, giving them good treatment, which is more punishable than even the activities going on in social media. Treating the people better than the families of their fathers and mothers and brothers they have wasted. These are the ills. These are the misgovernance. These are the bad governance that the Nigerian government does not want the social media to expose. That is why the federal government is so anxious of regulating the social media. Why is it now that the call for social media regulation is on the high, as if it's the only major problem Nigeria has? Is because this government is a dictatorship with the face of democracy, a full-blown dictatorship with the face of democracy. They don't want these ills to be exposed. They want Nigerians to remain sleepy. If you talk about hate speech has come more from even the government. It is this same government that was acknowledged to have called the youths lazy Nigerian youths. What hate speech is more than that? It is also the same government that is attacking CNN, the minister threatening sanction and petition against the CNN for doing a thorough investigation with relevant and available evidence to the CNN, or coming out with a very thorough investigative report and saying, look, Nigerian government got it wrong here, Nigerian army got it wrong here, and got it wrong here. And the federal government is making all hell of noise through the Minister of Information, because the CNN network is exposing these ills beyond the shores of Nigeria. There is no good intention for the federal government angling to regulate social media. No good intention. It's just to, just to cover all these ills, restrain or restrict or stop the citizens from exposing the ills of their government. The ills are too many. The illegalities are too many. This is the same country where a whole